Hello everybody and welcome to our concert at the Royal Festival Hall. My name is Patrick and I'm joined on stage by 6 incredible musicians. I'll introduce them to you now. On percussion we've got David. Sitting behind the huge grand piano is Ashani. On several different types of clarinet we've got Tim. On several different types of flute we've got Dan. Philippa is playing the violin and on cello is Tamaki. We're all members of the London Sinfonietta, a really fantastic orchestra. Our orchestra loves playing new music and we work all the time with those people who dream up and imagine and create new music, and we call those people composers. And today's concert is all about composing and hopefully might even inspire you to try some composing yourself. Our first piece, which we just heard, started with a performance from some students at Heathbrook Primary School in London, and they were playing a melody or a tune that they composed themselves. And to compose that melody, they were inspired by some positive and negative numbers and the patterns they created in their maths lessons. And that's often a really good way to start composing, to have a simple idea. Our next composer, Leo Geyer, also had a simple idea. He divided our orchestra into 2 groups of 3 instruments and then decided to write for each group using a different set of notes. Now, do you know what a piano looks like? Well, a piano has 2 sets of notes in it. It has a set of white notes, which sound like this. And a set of black notes, which sound like this. And so Leo composed music using just the white notes for the vibraphone and the violin and the cello. But for the other 3 instruments, the piano, the flute and the clarinet, he wrote music using only the black notes. Let's see or hear how that piece goes. Leo called it, quite reasonably, White on Black. So Leo's piece was inspired by the way the notes on the piano are grouped into white notes and black notes. But our next composer, whose name is Uti Takiainen, she was inspired by a memory from her childhood, forests of huge pine trees. Uti grew up in a country called Finland in the northernmost part of Europe. And in Finland there were lots of forests with enormous trees in. And you can hear those trees in her music. Because if you imagine a big pine tree, it starts with its roots deep down in the soil as the uti starts with the lowest, deepest notes in the piano and in the cello. Then as the tree climbs up through its trunk into the branches that reach the sky, the notes go up through the piano and the clarinet joins in, and they go up to their highest most notes to reflect those branches reaching out for the sky. Hear how many trees you can hear in Uti's piece, Woodland Fanfare. Now later on in this concert, we're going to hear some pieces of music that are receiving their first ever performances. We call that its world premiere. And one of those world premieres involves all of us, including you. We're going to be singing this incredible song by the composer James Wilson called Sweet Tooth. And rather than being about enormous trees, James's song is about an enormous cake, a monster cake. And in fact, we're going to use those words, monster cake, to create a little rhythm like this. I'm going to say it 4 times. It goes, monster cake, monster cake, monster cake, monster cake. Try with me, ready? Monster cake, monster cake, monster cake, monster cake. Now, let's add a bit of shape to that by starting with a whisper and getting louder as we go through our 4 repetitions. You ready? Monster cake, monster cake, monster cake, monster cake. Words can be really helpful to composers. They might give you a really fantastic rhythm like monster cake does, or they might allow a composer to describe how they want their piece to be played. Now, our next composer has done just that. Her name is Gloria, and Gloria is a pupil at Capel Manor School in Enfield. And Gloria took part in one of our composition challenges to create what we call a postcard piece, which is a piece of music that you write down on a small piece of paper or a postcard using colours and textures and images and sometimes words to suggest how the piece is played. Here's Gloria now to talk a little bit more about it.
My name is Gloria. I'm from Capel Manor Primary School in Enfield. I felt confident about taking on the challenge of making my very own composition. Here it is. My inspiration was a range of unconnected dynamics from my imagination. I'd like the musicians to play my composition by taking note of the patterns as well as the words.
And here is our flute player Dan to give the world premiere of My Music by Gloria. Thank you very much, Gloria, for taking part in our composition challenges. And any one of you could also take part in one of those challenges. You can just head to our website to find out more. Now, you may have heard in that piece that Dan on his flute sometimes made sounds that were completely normal for a flute to make, but sometimes he was making some really unusual sounds as well. And lots of composers like exploring the different sounds they can get out of an instrument, and our next piece is no different. It's going to be played by Philippa on the violin and David on the percussion, but David's got two rather unusual instruments. First of all, he plays the toy piano, which sounds like this. He also plays the glass bottle, which sounds like this. And Philippa's going to play the violin not by drawing the hair of the bow across the string, but instead by plucking the string with great strength so it snaps into the fingerboard like this. And then also by turning her bow upside down and using the wooden part of the bow to tap the string. Now I think because all four of these sounds are percussive, in other words, they're made by things being struck, Andy Akiho, the composer, has called his piece Hammers. That was Hammers by the composer Andy Akiho. Now, Philippa and David had to practice quite a lot to prepare that piece because it's quite difficult. And I think we need to practice our song a little more as well. And we're going to learn the big tune, we call it the chorus, which is the tune that comes back several times during the song. If you don't know it yet, that's no problem. I'll sing it once to you, and then we can all have a go singing it together. Monster cake on my plate, my sweet tooth got its way. Peter Pan, Iron Man, we'll all just fly away. Should we have a go together? You ready? Here we go. Monster cake on my plate, my sweet tooth got its way. Peter Pan, Iron Man, we'll all just fly away. Great, do you think you can remember that? Now, do you remember earlier in our concert we heard a piece of music where the composer was inspired by the forests she remembered growing up near? And our next composer has also composed music about the environment he lives in. He also lives in a very, very northernmost part of the world, inside the Arctic Circle in an Inuit village in Alaska in the United States of America. and his name is Matthew Bertner. And Matthew is fascinated by these huge land masses of ice near him called glaciers or glaciers. Now, glaciers are several miles long and as tall as the tallest building you can imagine, and they move incredibly slowly until they meet the sea, where they slowly start to melt. And there's an Inuit word for this melt. It's called Sikwivik. And every year, the icebergs melt like this, and it's quite normal, except in recent years, they've melted a bit faster and a bit longer and a bit more than previously because of climate change. And so Matthew wrote this piece, or composed this piece, in part to raise people's awareness of this. And because of that, he also called the piece Threnody. And a threnody is a piece of music about loss or about sorrow. And what Matthew did was he went up to the glacier and recorded the sound of it melting. And so all the way through the piece, we can hear these strange creaks and pops and crackles as the ice melts and falls into the sea. And against that, the musicians of the London Sinfonietta are going to play some very long, slow, quiet notes. In the middle of the piece, the most amazing thing happens is Matthew manages to capture that moment when an enormous chunk of ice falls off the glacier into the sea to form an iceberg. And we'll hear that very clearly before the music returns back to that very calm music from the beginning. So this is Threnody, Sikwivik by Matthew Bertner. So while glaciers are these huge land masses of ice several miles long and incredibly high, our next composer, Shruti Rajasekar, was inspired to compose her piece by the smallest particles we know about. And these are called atoms, and you can only see them if you look through a really powerful scientific microscope. Shruti spent some time with some scientists to explain to her how atoms can move really chaotically and very fast and very randomly, a bit like you might do in your playground. And at other times, those atoms come together and are quite calm and make a solid object. And so her music sometimes is really chaotic and fast and busy, and at other times is much more predictable and much calmer. See if you can hear those two different sorts of music in her piece. It's called Spin Excitations. Now, I think it's fair to say that if we ate that monster cake of our song, then the atoms in our body would probably all start moving around really randomly and incredibly quickly as well. I think we should learn one of the verses of our song now to help us practice and get ready for our performance. The verse starts like this. Sugar pop, ice cream, lucky dip, sugar dream, a sour fruit, chocolate shake. I just ate a monster cake, not a crumb left to spare. Sugar rushes in the air, feeling funny, feeling good, moving quicker than I could. Should we try that one more time together? Sugar pop, ice cream, lucky dip, sugar dream, sour fruit, chocolate shake. I just ate a monster cake, not a crumb left to spare. Sugar rush is in the air, feeling funny, feeling good, moving quicker than I could. The great thing about any song, of course, is it combines words and music. And our next young composer, who's also taken part in one of our composition challenges, has composed a piece using words and music. Her name is Dia, and she's a pupil at London Christian School. And here she is to introduce her piece.
Hello, my name is Dia and I am in Year 6 at London Christian School. I have written this piece titled I Don't Freeze Nor Do I Melt. It's a word and music piece. In my piece, ice should be played strong and steady like a block of ice. And similarly, freeze should be played on the same pitch throughout, but with vibrato.
And to perform Dia's piece with us is the soprano Daniela Sicari and musicians from the London Sinfonietta. Thank you, Dia. What a fantastic piece. And remember, everybody, you can also take part in our composition challenges, and you can find out more about them on our website. Now, we're going to go back to our song and see if we can complete learning the whole verse. Let's sing from the beginning again. You know this first bit, so you can join in straight away. And then I'm going to continue into the second half of the verse. Sugar pop, ice cream, lucky dip, sugar dream, sour fruit, chocolate shake. I just ate a monster cake, not a crumb left to spare. Sugar rush is in the air, feeling funny, feeling good, moving quicker than I could. There's a current in the air, pins and needles everywhere. Body starts to move and shake, fingers stretching, muscles quake. Sugar in these quantities makes a person's energy overflow until they burst. Any race and I'll come first. Oh, well done, everybody. Let's do the second half of that again, where it says, there's a current in the air. See if you can join in with me. There's a current in the air, pins and needles everywhere. Body starts to move and shake, fingers stretching, muscles quake. Sugar in these quantities makes a person's energy overflow until they burst. Any race and I'll come first. Oh, we're nearly ready for our song now. But before we perform that song together, let's hear another world premiere. And I'm joined on stage now by a lot of young instrumental musicians from the London boroughs of Waltham Forest, Haringey and Enfield, and we've been rehearsing together to perform a piece called Sound Out Sweet, which was written by a composer called Electra Perivalaris. But Electra spent several days in 3 schools in those London boroughs working with the students to generate ideas. And those 3 schools are Hyams Park Academy in Waltham Forest, Duke's Aldridge Academy in Haringey, and Chase Community School in Enfield. The piece is called Sound Out Sweet, and it's in 3 movements, like 3 chapters in a book. thank you, all those composers from Hyams Park, Duke Aldridge and Chase Community School. And thank you, Electra Paravanamis, for putting together into that wonderful piece, Sound Out Sweet. Now, the musicians in our young ensemble are going to stay on stage, and we're going to invite all of you to join in now too as we give the world premiere of Sweet Tooth by James B. Wilson. Are you ready? Try and keep up.
Pop, ice cream, lucky dip, sugar dream, sour fruit, chocolate shake. I just ate a monster cake, not a crumb left to spare. Sugar rushes in the air, feeling fine, feeling good, moving quicker than I could. There's a current in the air, pink and needles everywhere. Body starts to move and shake, fingers stretching, muscles quake. Sugar in these quantities makes a person's energy overflow until they burst. I'm transforming monster cake, just look at me for monster's sake. All this sweet stuff's done its job, I'm transformed into a sloth.
Well done, everybody! The world premiere of that song. I hope you enjoyed singing it as much as we enjoyed playing it on stage as well. What a wonderful song. Thank you, James Wilson, the composer, for composing that, for dreaming it up, for imagining it, for creating it. What a fun song. Now, I said it would be the last piece, but actually it's not. We've got one more surprise piece, and it's one little piece by another young composer called Emmy. And Emmy is not from a London school. She's actually from Grasmere in the Lake District, 400 miles north of London. She wrote this wonderful piece called Life, and we're going to play it for you now. And in her score, her picture that she created, she wrote the words pop on several occasions. And so we thought to ourselves, what instrument do we have that best does a pop? See if you can see what we did with that. This is Life by Emmy. Thank you, everybody, for watching our concert.
Well, we're going to bow, okay? We're going to bow together. Here we go, ready? Edmund, Sophia. Good bow. Give a nice bow. Big round of applause. One more bow. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye-bye. See you again.